This is my easy weeknight, no fuss pizza dough recipe. If you Google pizza dough, this one should come up #1 for you, and that's because it has been proven over and over again. It has thousands of 5-star reviews, and it's just a really good, reliable, and easy recipe, even if you're a beginner with yeast. Everything comes together really quickly. You don't even need a stand mixer. It can all be done by hand. So grab yourself a large mixing bowl, and to this, you're going to need a range of flour. I'll talk about that in a bit, but we're going to start by just adding about a cup of flour to the bowl. Now, if you have bread flour, use bread flour. If you don't, all-purpose flour will work. The difference is that bread flour is going to give you a little bit more of a chewier traditional crust, while all-purpose flour kind of yields a more fluffy pizza dough. Next, you need a packet of instant yeast. This is usually 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 teaspoons. I'll try to remember to put notes in the recipe if you're using active yeast. Hopefully yours tears a little easier than mine. I'm just taking it from the wrong side. Let's go ahead and sprinkle that in. Check the date on it. You don't want it to be expired or your pizza dough is going to give you a hard time. We're going to add just a little bit of sugar to help boost the yeast and help the dough along. This is just 1 1/2 teaspoons of granulated sugar. If you wanted to use like honey or something, that would be fine. I would probably just add that with your water and oil. We're also going to add some salt. This is just table salt, or you can use a fine sea salt. It's just 3/4 teaspoon. It's not going to kill your yeast. Don't panic if somebody tells you that. You're not going to have any problems unless you put like a cup of salt in there. Now, to flavor the dough a little bit, I like to add like a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. This is optional, but it really does add a nice little touch. And I also just add like a 1/4 teaspoon of dried basil. Again, just adds a little something to the dough. And then we'll just mix everything together real quickly. Oops, try not to get it on yourself. Just get that yeast nicely distributed. All right, the next thing you need is some warm water. If you have a thermometer, you are looking for a temperature between 105 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, you just want it to feel warm to the touch, not super hot, or you could end up killing the yeast. Pour this into the flour mixture, and I'm going to immediately add my olive oil. This is 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and we're just going to mix everything together. Wooden spoon is great for this. It's not going to look super pretty. It's going to look pretty wet. The important thing here is just getting everything combined. Okay, now we're going to start adding more flour gradually. Anytime I make this, I usually measure out a total of 2 1/3 cups of flour. Add the first cup, and then just add as much as is needed. I usually need between a total of 2 and 2 1/3 cups. So we're just going to gradually add the flour, and I'm just going to sprinkle it in, or you know what, you could measure it. Just add a bit at a time, and do this until the dough is clinging to itself. Let me add a bit more. And the reason we use a range is because it can vary so much depending on the climate where you live, the humidity in your kitchen, just what season it is and whether it's raining outside. So yeast recipes usually require a range of flour. So you can see the dough is clinging to itself. It's pulling away from the sides of the bowl, and it wants to be a ball shape, wants to stick to itself. So I just kind of mix it until it's starting to look a little bit smooth. I'm not kneading it, I'm just using the spoon for this. Though if you wanted to use your hands to kind of like mix it up, you could. I feel like I should just demonstrate that real quickly. Make sure you guys can see that. Another quick dough test I'll do is if I just tap the dough shouldn't really stick to my finger. Like maybe you'll notice a little bit, but it's not sticky. Maybe slightly tacky, but not sticky. I'm going to move this over to a separate bowl. I'm going to just lightly grease this with a little bit of olive oil. Just a little bit. It'll keep it from sticking to the bowl, so it'll pop out of there nice and easily. Just grab this dough. You can lightly flour your hands to make it less likely to stick to you if you want, but obviously I'm not doing that right now. And I just like to turn it to coat the whole outside of the dough with oil. The dough, of course, is going to need to rest and rise, so we're going to cover it with some plastic wrap. Leave it in like a warm, draft-free place. Some people pop it on top of their fridge. That's usually warm. But I'm going to recommend at this time you start preheating your oven. It needs to preheat to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and ovens can sometimes take a long time to get to that temperature. And check your oven, because sometimes they say they're at 425 and really they're not. And while your oven's preheating, if the top of your oven gets nice and toasty, that's a great place to store your pizza dough. That's where I'll be placing mine. It doesn't take long for this to rise, usually about 30 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer if it's cold where you are. So I'll see you in 30 minutes. Okay, your dough should be nice and risen at this point. This is a little over 30 minutes. So go ahead and lightly flour whatever clean surface you're going to be rolling it out on. Gently deflate your dough and turn it out onto your counter. It should come out nice and easily because we oiled our bowl. And you can use your hands or a rolling pin, use a rolling pin, one of these guys, to roll it out to a nice round 12-inch circle, which I'm terrible at. My pizzas usually look like amoebas, but they always taste good, so that's the important thing. I like to move it a little bit while I'm rolling it. That way it doesn't stick to my counter. And usually once I get close, I'll take it over to my pizza pan. I love this large cast iron pizza pan. It's just a large one. I'll link to it in the description. I'll try to remember. And just want to lightly grease this with a little bit of olive oil. Some people will do a little bit of cornmeal underneath their pizza. That would be fine. Rub this around. Then, we're not quite there yet, but I'll move my pizza dough over to my pan. And then I'll finish shaping it here rather than shaping it all nicely and then trying to move it, which, as you can imagine, doesn't go that well. I've made this a stuffed crust pizza by taking string cheese and cutting it in half and sometimes in quarters lengthwise, and then I'll just fold that into the crust. Just an idea if you like a stuffed crust pizza. So for the crust, some people just pinch the edges. I usually fold them over. I like a slightly thicker crust. And this is where you would like take that string cheese if you were using it and just kind of fold it over and pinch the dough around it. Just saying, if you like a stuffed crust pizza. I've been making my sourdough pizza most often, but this is a really good easy weeknight one. We used to make this every Friday and we still make it quite a lot. Now, sometimes I skip this step, but I'll usually poke it with a fork to just kind of help prevent any bubbles. And I also like to brush it with a little bit of olive oil all over. It's just a little drizzle. Don't go too crazy. Brush that on. And I'll brush the sides too. It'll help encourage like a more golden pizza crust. Now at this point, if you're planning on doing a lot of toppings on your pizza, I recommend par baking it, which means you just bake it until it starts to turn a nice light golden color, and then you can pull it out and add your toppings and continue to bake it. Or you can par bake it, like I just said, let it cool, wrap it and freeze it, so you just have pizza dough in your freezer ready to just add toppings and bake. Works great that way. But if you're just making like a standard cheese pizza, like I'm about to demonstrate, you don't need to par bake it. We'll just add a bit of pizza sauce. I do have a recipe for my homemade pizza sauce that I will link down there, so you can use that if you'd like. It also is highly rated, not to brag. I'm not going to use all of this sauce. There's so many different ways you can make this pizza. Like you can make a nice margarita pizza, but we're just doing cheese, so we'll add some mozzarella. Maybe I'll add a little basil when it's finished baking. All right, this is going to go in your nice and hot 425°F preheated oven. I find mine typically needs to bake for about 13 to 15 minutes. We're looking for the cheese to be nice and melty and bubbly and the crust to be beginning to turn like a light golden brown. It's very, very hot. Your pan is very hot too. Usually at this point, I like to add a little bit of like torn fresh basil. Optional, it adds a nice touch. Some people sprinkle oregano. Kind of hate oregano personally, but no judgment if that's what you prefer. Now, usually I give it a minute before I cut into it, but let's just go ahead. If you try this recipe or have tried it in the past, I would really love to know what you think. I really do always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. This is gonna be so hot, but watch. I think it's excellent. Oops, take this off. Learn to stand up straight, and that's it. If you're using your, okay, oh, it's hot. What we need is a plate. Give me just a minute. I'm trying not to burn myself.